You can see here, this is the little jar I got off Jared Gillies. It's got some nice little green flashes in there. Opal's always a little bit of a gamble, so we're just going to have to have a cut at it and just see how we go. You can see here, we'll get to have a look through this parcel, inspecting every individual piece. You can see this one has a bit of a colour bar running through it. I'll just be trying to face one side of this off so we can expose that colour bar. A few of these pieces in here, we're just going to have to see how we go as we go along. Just going to start by showing you some of the thicker pieces. Some of the bits that I think will probably have more chance of cutting something. Some of these pieces are a bit crystal-like, so a bit clear. Some of them will have potch backings. We just won't fully know until we actually start to rub and face these pieces what they will really hold. Getting all the way through the parcel. This one looks like it's got a little bit of green flash in there, fairly crystal piece. A bit sandy, we'll try to work that sand out. Obviously it's all natural rough opal, so you're going to have natural shapes and you're going to have to try to work out the best way to get something out of them shapes, plus the best way to get the nicer patches of colour for the stones. Not all the pieces will be usable. Now we're starting to get down to the scraps that'll either be just too awkward shaped or just have a bit too much sand in them. It's quite common to have a few scraps in a parcel of opal. And that's all of them. Gonna have to see how we go. Now that's a considerably decent little rub. It's ready for a bit more light on this. It's ready for cutting properly. And I can tell now that this will make a reasonable little stone, really nice little ring stone. There is a tiny little bit of sand left in this corner. I'll either work that out with a bit of shape or get it down a little bit more with the other wheels. But there's considerably nice flash in that corner as well, so I'm not too concerned about it. Little imperfection here and there in these stones, especially when you barely notice them. Going to still be a win in my book. Okay, well now I've got quite a few more to do, so I'm going to get back to you later and show you some finished rubs. Okay, so here we have the rubs that come out of the parcel. You can see on the left here the better stones that come out. these stones worked quite well. I'm fairly happy with these. There's a few stones up the top here which did cut into stones, but they were either too thin or the colour just wasn't good enough to really use in a ring or really for much at all. You might be able to make a little ascent with them or something, but I wouldn't really use these. These ones here were practically fails. There wasn't really anything in them, or the bar was just too wonky to really cut. But that's usually you get some of these when you buy a rough parcel. You know, that's just the way the game is. Okay, so here we have the completed stones. You can see most of them come up fairly nice. They've got quite some nice, quite little green colours in them. I'm quite happy with the parcel for what it was. Have a closer look at them. This one was the stone with the larger face and the nice swirl colour. You can see that the polish has made sure that colour stays nice in the face now. They don't have to be wet to keep that colour in the face. It's that little bit of sand that'll cover over with the bezel. I'll show a little bit, but that's quite a nice stone. I think it'd be something like 15 by 10, probably by 2 thick. So I'm happy with that one. This stone's a little bit directional, but when you do get that direction, it's got quite a nice flash. Couldn't quite get every little spot of sand out of the corner, so I've just left a couple of little pits in there, but for value for money, I'm not too concerned about that. I'll be leaving it that size. It still make a nice ring stone at that size, and somebody will get a nice bright treat in a ring for that. This stone here, it's another one that's a bit of a swirly green blue mix. And you can see this is one that I cut that little bit of a concave out to get the sand out. It looks like I got all the sand out, and that's a good usable little stone for a ring. This one here, once I started cutting it, I decided to keep this little pit in the top and just make it that little bit of a larger stone. I think it's probably going to be that little bit more attractive, just that little bit larger. I did take a lot of weight and a little bit of length off it just to strengthen it up a bit. But, you can see the pattern's quite an attractive pattern. Most of these stones are slightly directional, but you do get a nice presentation from the front, and that's important. Important with a lot of opal. This one here was the stone that had a little, where the pot started to take over on this end, and as you can see I've got a little bit of a dome on it. Will make a fairly strong stone. They're all unique in their own way. But as you can see, it's probably 70% something colour on the front. The pink gets a little bit light, but it does have a bit of pink through there, maybe a little bit of yellow in it. In a ring, it should be still quite a nice stone. This was the little thin stone. This would be the smallest stone out of the group. Lightest stone. Still kept it because it's got a nice little bit of colour. I think in a petite design ring with maybe a few accents on each side, maybe a one larger cent on each side or a few littler cents on each side, just to bring a little bit more focus and attention to the front of the ring, and to centre the colour a little bit. It'll still make quite a usable stone. This one I think is my favourite out of the group. It's a little bit brighter than the rest. It's got a really nice rolling flash to it. Nice bit of pattern down the bottom. It's really quite a nice stone. So this will make a beautiful ring. I was quite lucky to get this stone in amongst the parcel. Not all parcels will have a nice stone like this in them, especially for around that price. So I think we did quite well.